Welcome back to the Yanzhou campaign. Last time we had two large battles. In one, we managed to break through the Shou-chun deadlock against Huinan and kill their faction leader, but then we lost a reinforcement group when it was attacked by a much larger Huinan force after staging a valiant last stand. We'll want to bag ourselves some revenge for that defeat. Just before that, there was a tiny Huinan force that's come over to Shou-chun. Not quite sure what they're planning here, but might as well go out and fight them. They run. I'm going to pursue and attack them with this same army. In fact, that's an easy enough win. The issue is that now we can't actually go back to Shou-chun this turn. That sucks. I thought I will probably make it if we just drop the ballistas, but no, we can just walk up to the gates. That's annoying. Now I have to drag units from elsewhere to garrison Shou-chun. Luckily I had an army just behind it, so that's all okay. Now, to get the actual revenge, we move out of Anfeng with the garrison that was in there and just auto-resolve the remnants of the army from last time. There we go, the situation's resolved, and ultimately we traded less than half a stack for a stack of enemy troops. Not so bad in the end. Need to get back into Anfeng. For some reason, I wanted to move this small army out of the way so they weren't blocking my access, just so there were no surprises, no weird routes and ambushes happening or anything like that. I needed to put that small group of half-dead troops into the fort that was nearby to protect them from enemy attack. To facilitate that, Song Shan, who was garrisoning the fort, is going to go on and attack Lujiang to the south, possibly now baiting in the enemy to go and attack him with their army, which they've got standing just there to the north, or possibly not. We'll just see what they do. I think we're fine whatever happens at this point. At Herfei, you might remember we had it under siege last time with 3 armies, giving us plenty of options here. They've put a few reinforcements outside. We just quickly kill them after they for some reason stand and fight. Some of them survive, so we're going to have to go after them again. First I attacked the bigger army though. They didn't want to fight, so fine, we'll go after the small army a second time. For whatever reason, even though we've now defeated them twice in the same turn, this army's still alive after this. A few guys go away, they just won't get stack wiped. Pretty annoying, but of no consequence. And inside Herfei is the current faction leader of Huinan, Yuan Yao, who is now also claiming to be the emperor, so we will leave that siege going and get him killed at some point. Huinan don't do anything during their turn, but they do suffer a loss. Yi Yang surrenders to Zhang Liao after a long siege, and there we have it, that's another city taken. At the start of the next turn, something particularly tumultuous happened. Apparently the Zhong are subdued, the Zhong being Huinan's fake imperial dynasty that they've set up, so it's talking about Huinan here. We get some money for helping subdue them, I'm pretty sure it was all us, but whatever. And we're now allied to Huinan because apparently they have submitted themselves to us. That means our war is suddenly over. More importantly, that ballista betrayed us. I sort of knew that would happen. I was really annoyed by that actually, and I immediately grabbed a diplomat. I was like, right, we're going to bribe these guys and get them back. I'm not losing that ballista, since they are veterans of the battle where we broke through at Shou-chun. I happen to be on 29 regions controlled, which is 1 away from winning the campaign. You need 30 to win. We almost won against Huinan then, until they suddenly got peace with us. And with that I thought, well, let's actually do something else for the final part of the campaign. Let's go to war with Liang up at the top left, because they control the emperor. You can see here they're allied to Imperial Han. That means they control the emperor. The emperor's up there in their capital. And if we take it, then we'll control the emperor, and our faction will be the legitimate rulers of China, and will win just a little bit harder. With that in mind, I started to move men up towards the top left of our territory. It's going to take a while to set up for this invasion, but a mere 1 turn later we got this news. Apparently Huinan is now declaring war on Nanyang, one of my allies. It's our ally off to the west, who don't even border Huinan as far as I know. Not quite sure how this war's happening, maybe off somewhere to the southwest that we haven't seen. Anyway, we are going to side with our old ally Nanyang and go back to war with Huinan. Took me a while to work out what of the accept or decline options actually did that, but we got it in the end. Now, as for bribing those ballistas, they demand an exorbitant fee, over 8,000, way more than you'd pay to just get a couple more of those units. But just for the memes, I was like, oh fine, you can have it. They were trying to bait me into killing them. No, we're going to force them to live. We're going to force all the veterans of that conflict to survive and keep telling the tales of our glory. So that's that, memes acquired. Now then, we need to prepare once again for war with the Huinan. The forces that were at Herfei and are currently walking away need to immediately turn around and go back in, ready to set up again. We're not going to attack this turn. We're actually not at war with them yet, we're neutral to them. It just cancelled the alliance, but I will go to war with them as soon as the first battle that's worth fighting becomes available. In fact, it's right now, because here we are on the next turn after Huinan didn't do anything. I've got Gao Shun, one of our faction heroes, coming back from retirement. He's been doing nothing for a while after suffering casualties in the war against Qingzhou, I think. But now he's fully replenished, he's ready to go with a nice elite army, and we're going to bring him in to lead the attack on Herfei. I wanted to see if my allies had betrayed me or something now that I've started this war, but it looks good. They also don't join you in the war either. I'm not sure what it takes. Maybe it has to be a defensive war to make your allies actually take part in it. Anyway. First step, we're going to take out this random Huinan army that's just standing around. No problems there. Now I ransomed the prisoners and luckily the enemy accepted it, and this brought up a nice opportunity that I hadn't really thought about. By ransoming the prisoners, and the enemy accepting it more importantly, they try to go back to Herfei, but it's already under siege, so they just wait outside. Now then, if I just cancel the siege, as you saw me do there, we can set up for a siege draw out by attacking the guys that Huinan just bought back. Dishonourable, but extremely effective. So there we go, now the enemy's faction leader is drawn out of the castle with that full stack for a field battle. This should make things a bit faster and perhaps a bit easier. The direction they're entering the field means that we're not really using much of the map here. They've entered the battle just behind our deployment zone, so I had to turn around quickly and engage them. I had forgot they were coming from that direction because this was in between filming sessions, that little cut there. Anyway, we did take a cavalry charge to the front, the classic manoeuvre. I think my spearmen actually ran backwards when I ordered them to run forwards there in my defense. Not quite sure what happened. But then again, it has been a while since we saw my archers get taken out by a cav charge to the front, so good to see that back in action. More cav are coming for our left flank, but I've just got loads of my own cav, and that's enough of a counter. In the centre, things are cleared up as those cav fall back once the spears get involved. Just need to repair our line. Another unit of cav decides not to charge right into the spears and come to join this battle on the flank, but I quickly turn around the spears that were going to join that battle themselves to stop those cav from arriving. The other cav that were already there cheekily quit their engagement to attack my archers, but it's okay, our own cav in the area will clear that up. With the cavalry fight very quickly over now, time for the infantry fight. Our spears advance into theirs. You can already see in the background some things are starting to escape. We are fighting on unfavourable terms for the siege draw-out plan. We're fighting too near the edge of the map. It's easy for the enemy to escape. We need to make sure that we get that 85% killed and that no officers leave the field. Luckily their officers aren't mounted in this fight, which makes that a lot easier. As for the fight, it wasn't really that good. We're getting annihilated on our left wing in general, everything left of the centre. Our infantry just got broken by the enemy's infantry. I guess they had superior upgrades and experience, so now we're in trouble. I'm trying to outflank with all of my light cav since the enemy have a lot of archers for us to kill, but the micro's going to get pretty intense as everything breaks up and it's just lots of small fights to deal with. The remainder of our army on the right wing is going to get rear attacked and that whole formation will break up as well. A huge, impossible to tell what's going on mess will now ensue. We're going to win this thing eventually because we do have a second army that can come and clear things up, but it's going to be very messy for the first army, especially because I'm really juggling here. I need to micro in such a way that we don't lose too many men, but more importantly that we make sure the enemy aren't getting too close to the edge of the map. You can see right there we've skirmished some crossbows onto the edge of the map, so if we rout them they'll just leave. That is a really bad way to do our siege draw out. Other crossbows are casually strolling into fight here with Niu Jin, going to get him out of that fight for now. So yes, things descend into anarchy and madness. I do the odd bit of actual looking at what's going on, like right here where one of our generals tries to take on some swords from the front, but we didn't really get a charge, so it didn't go very well. I think we do beat them in the end just because heavy cav are quite good in melee. And as you can see, the mess continues to be a mess and our army is in disarray. In particular, we've lost all of our melee troops as we usually do, so while the archers are around the place in small groups, still damaging enemies thanks to their skirmishing ability, meaning they're easier to micro, we're not really achieving all that much, and we do need our allies to come in and clear things up. Finally, after a couple more minutes, they do, and now you can see the balance bar is indicating our advantage. Just need to end this battle right, and that means no officers escape. That right there was the captain of that first army we attacked, the survivors, the ransom survivors, so they're gone, but we need to bring down the enemy emperor, who is on the field somewhere, luckily commanding archers rather than cav, as officers often do. So here he is, we surround him with our own troops, and now he'll struggle to escape. His unit routs and then he is immediately killed, which counts as captured because he was routing. It does say that he's killed, or it says he's fallen, I suppose, which is literally true, but yes, he's now our captive. That means no officers are left. We've got 97% of the enemy force so far, thanks to all the micro around the edges of the map. Things have gone well. Our first army is wrecked. Probably can't use them again for a while, but we may not need to. And the enemy army is even more wrecked. We got pretty much everything. This means we are going to get the siege draw out. Because we captured the enemy emperor, there's a massive ransom here, but we have to execute everyone for the siege draw out to work. So goodbye to them. Both armies die, and Herfei is open to attack. I had a quite long hesitation period here where I was like, who should march into the city? I was considering making it Gao Shun because I'd already promised him capturing Herfei, but I thought no, we'll let the guys who just won the battle actually do it. And that wins the game. We have completed the campaign. I guess there's supposed to be a cutscene, but it's not working, or maybe there just isn't one in this mod. We'll hit continue playing because I do want to go on and do the challenge objective, as I said, of capturing the Emperor and taking Chang'an, which is the capital of the Empire. So it makes sense to have that under control if you want to consider yourself to have won the campaign, I think. And our secondary objective will be to wipe out Huinan, since we have armies here. We'll just continue on with this campaign to try and finish them off, while everyone else redistributes across our territory to get ready for the Liang campaign. As you might guess, we'll be looking at Huinan battles for a while, since it's going to take ages to get the Liang stuff going. And here is such a battle. They happen to have an army on our new border, so I sent some guys out to fight them. A straight up, ordinary field battle. We were able to sort of get a hill advantage. The enemy had deployed on a slope, so by rushing forwards before they could run up it, we were able to be uphill from them. We have lots of archers in our army, so we want to get some skirmishing going, and this terrain helps us out with that. The enemy don't have so many archers, plus they have to walk quite far up the hill to be in range of us. The only issue is that neither side can really see each other. With hills like this, it can be hard to attack properly, and indeed you can see that lots of arrows are just landing all over the place, either in front of the enemy or soaring over their heads, because the cross-sectional angle our arrows have to hit here is pretty small. Neither side's really doing much to each other, and it doesn't matter because after a couple of volleys, the AI, as usual, just charges in, and we're going to charge our own melee troops forwards to receive them. They've got some cav going off to our left flank. I had some cav ready to receive them, but I was like, well, where are they? They've ended up really far away from our formation for some reason. We'll charge them in to stop those guys. On the right flank, their cav went right into the front of our spears. That was particularly good. Now our own light cav will be free to flank around and start dealing with those archers. The enemy doesn't have a general here, and their leader, their captain, is quickly killed out there on the far left, and that immediately starts some rout. Their infantry attacking our right route even before they've all finished engaging us. That's a particularly good sign. The cav are ready to charge back up the hill and hit those archers. Broadly speaking, we've got this. The enemy army completely routs. They actually routed before we'd killed even like 50% of their total force, so there was now going to be a very long rout phase where we went through these units and got ourselves up to the 85% we need to actually win the battle. So let's cut to some time later where we win. Something like a 1 to 8 or 9 kill death ratio, a very good result. They're cleared away. And that now means the path to Lujiang is free, so we can go back to the old plan we had of besieging this place, and there's still only a small army inside. In fact, the army inside now has their new faction leader in it, so we've got another Zhong emperor for us to kill, although now he's only the king of Zhong, because I think their dynasty has been officially cancelled. We've also got bad relations with them, apparently. I couldn't think why. A little bit of diplomacy here. Xi Liang got a diplomat to us to make a trade deal, and I sent an offer back to them of alliance. These are the guys on the other side of Liang, so if we can be allied to them, that will help us strategically as we invade to the west, and they agree to the plan. That's all good stuff. Next up, there's another Huinan army standing just about in our territory, and we don't like that. I'm moving Shaoxing to be ready to reinforce so that I can attack from the north with Gao Shun's powerful army. This doesn't work, it's the old you ran out of movement points at the very last second thing, so we're now just encamped in front of them. I was about to leave them to it, but then I realised, well, we could just send someone else in to trigger the battle, so I get some random volunteer cav to go for it, and the enemy actually fall back. This means that only Shaoxing can attack, but we do have Huinan to the southwest doing that siege, and he is now just behind where the enemy army has ended up, meaning we can still get a 2-on-1 fight going. It's actually a 3-on-1 fight, because some scraps of troops from elsewhere are getting involved as well. That means we have good numbers. We will have to rely on the AI to use our numbers correctly, but we'll see what we can do. The terrain ended up being really similar to the last battle. The enemy army's on a slope, and we've quickly run up to be at the top of the hill. This time though it's a more extreme version, where the enemy are pretty much protected. We just can't hit them. They're all out of our line of sight. There's no arrow arc that can reach them, I suppose. Our men just do this. They pull their bows back and fire, but not load with any arrows, just pretending to do work. I'm guessing that actually still tires them out, so it's a bad idea to leave them on fire at will if they can't actually see anything. What I could do was move these horse archers to slightly outflank the enemy and get some line of sight. Started raining arrows onto these swords on the edge of their line, picked up a few kills, but I was really looking to make the enemy charge uphill towards me so I could fight them downhill. They eventually started moving, but not because of me. I think they spotted Huinan coming in from the flank and decided to reform their army to basically just fight him and ignore me. Not very much came up the hill and everything started going over there. That meant it was time for me to go down the hill. I wasn't being particularly bold. I probably should have charged in a bit more, but I really wanted to keep my formation, so we're just strolling in and really allowing the enemy to go off to our flanks, which will sort of negate our hill advantage. Not very aggressive play from me. Usually I try a little bit harder, but maybe I was half asleep. It's often the case. We eventually do commit to the fight after the enemy commit to fighting our allies off to the side there. Not really going to pay any attention to that and just hope our ally does a somewhat decent job while we focus on taking out the units that are in front of us. Not going to be enormously difficult because we'll have the local advantage all over the place. I am going to need to really spam the thing that shows you where your troops are, because we're fighting in low light and both sides do look exactly the same in this situation, exacerbated by the fact that our flags are pretty much exactly the same as well, so there really is no way to tell what's going on. Luckily that button is there for us, and luckily it doesn't matter too much since things are going to go our way. The enemy captain gets taken down somewhere in the mix, and now things are going to get a little bit easier. Lots of skirmishing archers for our horse archers to go after, and lots of distracted units to rear attack. Very soon, as you might expect, it's a mass rout, and we're just left slaughtering things as they go. Our allies will even help us out since they have more cav than us. There were various units that were fighting to the death that I wasn't paying attention to, but eventually we do manage to end the fight. There's the result, looking pretty good. Our ally saw the worst of it, but I guess that's to be expected. They probably weren't microing very well. Not that I was either in that particular battle. With that done, that is all of Huinan's forces on our border gone. They've still got that one stack defending Lujiang there, so it looks like another battle will be on the cards, but now it's going to be entirely offensive actions for us. We can throw another army into that siege as well to make it look extra one-sided. At the start of the next turn, the Wadumi sect, a faction off in the mountains, apparently doesn't like us. They're to our west somewhere, but I don't think we've seen them, so I'm not too worried. Now I looked for the first time actually at the end of turn report to learn that the Sun clan are the most powerful faction in the land, but we are the number 2 faction. It's to be expected really. The Sun clan have the best starting position and just tend to win in general. We'll see an example of their power actually in a second. First though, I just pushed away this Huinan army that had showed up to defend Lujiang. There's still the other army on the other side. I realised we could attack them by lifting the siege with Huilan's army and just going after them. They ran away, and that leaves the siege in a very favourable situation. Now we've got our 3 armies against only a small force on the inside. After an uneventful end turn, we come back to this situation after making some new siege equipment, and there's the battle we've got. For some reason I almost fought this myself because I was just going insane. Clearly I was tired, but then at the last second realised, wait a minute, we can auto-resolve that and save everyone a lot of time. There we go. That's another Huinan king, emperor, killed. And actually that's the last one. After we capture this place, Huinan as a faction are destroyed. That must have been their last living family member. That's our secondary objective completed very quickly then. I expected it to be a little bit harder than that. But yes, we really finish off the Huinan. Their last territory was this place over here. That has now fallen to rebels. We can go after that just for no reason. A couple more rebel armies are now standing in front of us, the remnants of Huinan's armies. The first two are easy to defeat in auto-resolve, and the other one's pretty big. I'd have to actually fight to take it down, so I'm not going to bother for now. Our advance has revealed there a little bit of the Sun Clan's territory, and it's like, well, hello. The road is just crowded with armies on pretty much every tile that we can see. Clearly, the Sun Clan are very rich and powerful, as the end turn report claims. We can also see a little bit of their territory over here, and the road is crowded with trade carts, meaning they're making a lot of money. This is a bad sign because we are at war with that faction. However, hopefully it won't be their entire domain with an army on every tile, and hopefully they'll just leave us alone.